the most generous person in every room you walk into, and it's killing you. And I'm not saying like it's a big moment, like, everyone waits for that big event. It's not even dramatic. It's not even in a way that anyone else can see or can point out for you or even kind of name as the problem for you. So if you're like, what the hell is going on? I don't necessarily know that someone's going to see this, but it's consistently one yes at a time, okay? In that you have made your availability your identity slowly stops being available to the one thing that actually matters in your life. And that's the calling. That is your potential. That is the work, the co-creation, the version of the life that was supposed to be built with the energy you've been giving literally to everybody else. And this, it makes it genuinely difficult to deal with because the giving feels good and it feels right. And it feels like this is the person that you really want to be. You're someone who shows up, someone who comes through, someone who does not let people down. And those things are true. And I think it's beautiful. And they're also, at the current ratio, the very mechanism by which your potential is being quietly drained one request at a time, while the thing you're supposed to build and co-create is just set on the back burner indefinitely. And listen to me. I am not here to tell you to stop serving people. Jesus served people. Serving is the point. What I am here to tell you is that there is a version of service that pours from a full cup and produces something that actually lasts. Then there's a version that pours from an empty one and exhausts the person pouring while ultimately disappointing everyone, including the people it was supposedly serving. You've been living in that second version of this story, and you have probably called it servant leadership, faithfulness. And today I want to deal with that. Welcome to the Listen Bitch podcast. I am Brandon Lynette. I am the voice authority coach. It's very simple. Your message, your message. And this is what I want to say before we go anywhere else. The fact that you are a giver, that you show up, that you come through, that you put other people first, that is not the problem. Okay. The problem is that you have turned a spiritual gift into a survival strategy, and the survival strategy is destroying the very thing the gift is supposed to build. I know you've heard this before. You cannot pour from empty. You've heard it, you've read it, you've probably said it. And then you went and scheduled three more things for people who needed you and pushed the thing you were building to next week again. And that's the pattern. And again, I know I say it all the time, but I just am pissed. I'm pissed about the situation, not at you, but at the waste. Because there is a calling, this beautiful God given gift of potential sitting on that back burner while everyone else's needs run on the front burners. I've heard people say that every stove, you have a favorite burner, right? You put everybody else in your favorite burner, and bitch, I'm telling you, it's time to put yourself on there. Okay? Today's episode brought to you by Super Patch. I'm going to talk about my REM patch today because, first of all, the person who is in constant service mode is almost never sleeping the way that they need to sleep. And the nervous system that is always on call, always available, always managing someone else's something, always in everybody else's bullshit. That nervous system does not know how to go fully offline at night. And the REM patch is what I reach for when I need actual restorative sleep. You guys, I've been in the season of I have a lot on my plate, okay? I wouldn't say too much because God help me, we're handling it, okay? But with my husband's schedule, I am essentially a single parent juggling several sports schedules and still working full-time podcasting and doing all the things, right? We're still homeschool, we're doing all the things. Lately, the past few weeks with softball games, I've had some super late nights. And that's cutting my sleeping time because my morning starts whether I've gotten my sleep or not. That's kind of what happens. This REM patch is what I go to so that I'm not killing my nervous system again. I get that restorative sleep. It is deeper REM cycles. And like I wake up rested. It is non drowsy, drug free, zero ingredient, tactile technology. Say that 100 times fast, telling your nervous system that it's safe to fully rest. Okay. I can't serve anyone well from depletion. You can't serve anyone well from depletion. All of this nervous system healing, that journey I've been on this past year, I think it's been longer than a year, but I keep saying a year. I started with this REM patch. I knew that, that cortisol everybody talks about, everybody has a product, a tea, a magic drink that will solve your cortisol problems. I just needed sleep. That was the first start, like real restorative sleep. So I'd say that was kind of foundational. Even with my shots of oil, I still take that when I really need it. But I've trained my body to sleep like it needs. Just it's the exception now. But this patch helped me a lot. So anyway, back to service, y'all. The gift that became the trap, and I'm gonna help you how to get out of it. Help you how to get out of it. We're gonna talk, bitch. I'm gonna talk about how to get you the hell out of it, okay? Because this is normal in the human experience. Your brain has that specific response to helping other people. When you do something for someone else, when you meet a need or solve a problem or come through on a commitment, that reward circuitry activates. We get that dopamine release. Like it feels good. Not just morally good, but you've got neurochemicals flowing through your brain good. And the brain experiences the act of service as a reward. And we're reward based people. And rewards, as we've talked about, like all season, that's how we train behavior, right? Like little puppies. We're just little puppies. The brain does more of what produces rewards, which means helping has been neurologically reinforced in you for a very long time. So it's not like you're a weak bitch and you can't say no, right? Your brain's doing its job. You're still a badass in my book. Let's get real with this. Every time you showed up for someone and felt the warmth of being needed, the relief of their gratitude or that specific satisfaction of being the person who came through, your brain files that. That's the data that that is the behavior to repeat. And then it built the pathway for it. It's deep, it's grooved, it's efficient. Baby, your brain is doing its job. The request arrives and the yes fires almost automatically now. And it's not because you're lacking the boundaries, again, because the brain has been thoroughly trained that service equals reward and that pathway is running without much input from you. You don't have to think about it, okay? This is where it gets a little complicated. The same reward circuitry that fires when you genuinely serve from fullness also fires with a slightly less intensity when you serve from obligation, when you serve from guilt, when you serve from the fear of what will happen to the relationship if you say no. From that point of anxiety of disappointing someone whose opinion matters to you, the reward is lower. But you guys know there's a price for everything. That cost is high as fuck. And the pathway is going to fire anyway. And your brain, which it's not going to evaluate the quality of the service or the sustainability of the source. It doesn't measure that. It just notes that the service produced a reward and it's going to reinforce accordingly. So you end up in the loop of servicing from depletion and getting a diminishing return of reward while the cost keeps rising. And if you've been wondering why you feel so tired, even though you're doing so much good, it's because the ratio is broken. It is because the input has exceeded the actual source. Because you've been running a generosity that is built on credit you do not have. And what's happening is the debt is due and the debt is coming due inside your body. That's where it's getting its payment. So boom, there goes your creative capacity. Boom, there goes your calling. There goes the relationships you love the most. And the neuroplasticity here You guys know by now what neuroplasticity is, right? If you're new here, it's how we rewire these deep grooves. That shit we already have on the loop cycle. We can change that. Your brain grows. Neuroplasticity here is simple, but it's not easy. The pathway for automatic yes needs to be interrupted long enough for a different pathway to form. The pathway that pauses before responding, okay? That checks the source before opening the tap. That distinguishes between service that pours from an overflow and service that is pouring from your empty. Both look the same on the outside. You are the only fucking person that will know which flow you're in. Is it overflow or empty? And building the pause that you need, that you have to practice. It's that neuroplasticity grounded pause between the request and the response. That's going to be the work that changes the pattern. That means start catching yourself at how often you automatically, yes, yes, yes. I'm a yes man. My kids would say, absolutely not. You're a no mom. You're a no mom, not a yes man. You practice the pause. When you start noticing the yes, you're like, damn, I say yes all the time automatically. You start noticing you pause. You give your brain a chance to say, oh shit, she's pausing. And it starts looking for new connections because it's not on the flow. Okay. You break the pattern. Um, and this, you guys, I mean, it's costing you a lot. And it's not even in general terms, a cost in general terms. I want to talk about the real terms of the life that you're trying to build because it's costing you the mornings. It's costing you those creative hours. It's costing you the ones that belong to the work, to the building, to the podcast, to the message, and to the version of your life that requires the most of you when you have the most to give. Those hours are going to everyone else's needs. The emails that arrive before you have done a single thing for your own work, the texts that pull you out of the 1 hour you carved for yourself, or those quick favors that add up that are never actually quick. Okay. The availability that everyone around you has come to expect because you have trained them to expect it by always being available. It's like this. Imagine you have a bank account. Every hour of your best mental and creative energy is a deposit that comes in once a day. It is not renewable on demand. Once the best hours are spent, what you have for the rest of the day is the remainder. And you've been letting everyone else make withdrawals from that account before you've made a single investment in your own shit. Which means the thing that you're trying to build is getting funded with whatever's left after everyone else has taken their share. That is not generosity. That is a structural problem. And the structural problem is producing a calling that never gets the resources it needs to actually build. It's costing you your relationships, not the transactional ones where you give and they take, because they will take, baby. They will take and they will take and they will take. And I know you're thinking of someone right now and you're like, oh my God, she's fucking right. Those are costing you too, but differently. But I'm talking about the real relationships. You're losing those. The people you love the most, the ones who get that depleted ass version of you because they are at the end of the day when the best has already been given away. Your husband gets the leftovers. The relationship with God gets the leftovers. Your kids get the leftovers. The prayer that happens when there's nothing else left to do instead of when there is still something left to give. It's costing you the thing itself, the magic of your potential. It's costing you the podcast that's not been recorded because the time it would have taken went to someone else's something. It's costing you the message that has not been delivered because the energy it required was spent before it could even be accessed. It's costing you the calling that keeps being told to wait because everyone else's needs are in front of it. I'm going to tell you that cemetery, I've had several people on the show who actually did end of life care and hospice and things like this. Biggest thing, all the regrets. Because the truth is, the calling is not going to wait forever. You do not have forever to step into your potential. And the people who need you to get your shit together are not going to find it in someone else's work. That drives me. I get to meet Jesus one day, and he's going to be like, how did this happen? How did this happen? And I'd have to face him and be like, I was scared to get into my potential. I thought I was really helping people. I was giving people these things. And he gives me this list of people that waited for me to step into my potential so they could discover who they were in him. I have to face him and take that responsibility. I don't want to do that. You are not stewarding the work that was put on our hearts to steward. There is a person out there that needs your specific message and experience and voice specifically. There is a reason that churches and corporations and families and friend groups find their givers. Guess what they do? Every committee. They're put on every committee. They're put on every team, every project that needs someone who will come through. And it's not because they are malicious, it's because the giver is always reliable. And reliable is the most valuable resource in an environment of scarcity. So the giver gets used thoroughly, consistently, without genuine appreciation that never quite turns into genuine reciprocity. Why can I not talk today? That's amazing. The giver, whose brain is wired to experience that service as a reward, keeps saying yes. That's what happens. But no one returns the favor. And we say yes because, yeah, it feels like faithfulness. Nobody's going to reciprocate because as long as you are serving, they're taking. It's not even in their awareness. It's just who you are, right? You've sold that. Saying yes feels like love. Yes feels like the person you're supposed to be. And that cost, that creative depletion, the calling delayed, the version of yourself that exists on the other side of having resources for your own shit, the cost stays invisible until it's not anymore. Till maybe your body just stops. Until that burnout hits you like a ton of bricks. Until the resentment that's been building under the generosity finally surfaces and you lose your fucking shit and everyone is surprised by it because you seem so fine. The nonprofit industrial complex is the most elegant version of this, okay? It is built on the labor of people who care more than they charge, who give more than they take, who have been told explicitly and implicitly that caring about their own sustainability is somehow at odds with caring about the mission, that the sacrifice is the point, that the person who charges what their work is worth is less devoted than the person who gives it away and goes broke in the service of the cause. It is a lie, but it is a very useful lie for the institutions and the systems and the causes that need your free labor to survive. It's a devastating lie for the person who has spent a decade pouring into something that has not poured back. And it is absolutely a lie for the calling because depleted as a depleted, empty person does not build things that last. You can't. They have to manage their depletion. And management and building are absolutely not the same thing. You are allowed to be resourced. You are allowed to have what you need. You're allowed to take care of the person who is taking care of everyone else, not instead of service, as the prerequisite for sustainable service. And of course, the season I learned the hard way. I think we all have this story where there's the period where you just show up for everyone, genuinely, fully, with the real version of me in the real time and the real energy, and it felt like the right thing. It felt like the person I was supposed to be. And of course, everyone around me is agreeing, and I'm getting validated because when you are the one who always comes through, people tell you what a gift you are and how much you're needed and how, they don't know what they would do without you. Of course, I believe them. And of course, I keep showing up until I realized my real calling, that shit I'm supposed to be building, the work, the version of this podcast and all the shows I have that was always supposed to exist. It started going quiet. And you guys know that's not because I don't have shit to say. We always have something to say. It's because I have no fucking energy to say it with. The source was running low. And what happens? My belief ran low, my energy ran low. I didn't even think it mattered. How many times did I not post consistently? There were times I went months without doing the show. I didn't really notice until the creative well ran dry. And there was a point where I just sat down at the mic and couldn't say a word. And that day turned into weeks and months. That is that humbling, didn't come with a warning label moment when I realized that the generosity I've been running on borrowed energy, pouring from empty. That the resource that you've been drawing from, I need you to know it has a bottom. And you've been ignoring the bottom of this resource because the requests keep coming and the yes keep firing and the reward keeps arriving and the source is it's still just quietly depleting. I'm going to tell you guys, recalibrating this, never fucking comfortable, never easy. People noticed. A lot of people weren't happy about it. And for a minute, I'll be honest, that felt worse than that moment of being depleted. And there was a question of just even ever showing up. The depletion was at least familiar. I knew that was the devil I knew, right? But what actually came back for me is the creative capacity. I suddenly had energy for the work and I had the actual reserves to pour from. And that was worth every uncomfortable conversation that this recalibration required. I lost people. I lost a lot of people. I've had to build from scratch more times than I could even count right now. I don't even know the tally. But babe, you're allowed to refill the well. That's not selfishness. That is the management of the resource that everyone else is depending on. I got to have this great conversation just with this lady, okay, 8 years leading a ministry. She gave everything, showed up for everyone, available at all hours for people in crisis. You have someone in your church that does this, like share this episode with them. And she told me she thought that was what faithfulness looked like. That's just what you do. You give of yourself. And this is the lie that I think, modern Christianity, you soft ass Christians, I think really have created a toxic level of understanding here. She ended up burning out completely in her seventh year. Not even a little tired. She hospital fully clinically medically depleted. And in the recovery, she had this conversation with God that she shared. And she said she described this would be probably the most honest one that she ever had. And what she heard was not to keep pushing. It was a very simple message. You cannot give what you do not have, and you've been doing it anyway. So she knew that message was her choice in that moment. She rebuilt and she started protecting the mornings for her own work, for her own creative output, for her own relationship with God before anyone else got access to her. And she told me the ministry got better. It's not because she was giving less, because what she was giving was coming from a full place instead of an empty one. The quality changed. The sustainability changed. The people she was serving started receiving something real instead of the performance of what she'd been doing before. It's amazing because she came on to share the message that the burning out years produced. And the people she can reach are the ones she could have never reached from depletion. Because depletion does not connect. Overflow does. I talked about that on a show today too. You guys, anyway, right here. I have like 6 conversations, 4 to 6 conversations, 4 days a week. So I have a lot. I have a lot to talk about. I'm collecting stories now. Isn't that awesome? Very it's been an incredible mission. But if this episode is kind of speaking to you about what's happening in your life, that giving has become the drain and that availability has become the obstacle. Please share this out with someone else you know that needs to hear it. The one that is running on empty and they're like, it's faithfulness. I'm doing my job. They need this today. Make sure you guys subscribe, leave a written review. That's how I get in front of the next person that needs me. But this is that soft Christianity, toxic bullshit that I'm talking about because Jesus, you guys, this is biblical. Don't take my word for this. Absolutely go fact check me on this. He withdrew regularly. He didn't come here and save everybody and give everything and have nothing. He had to have a lot to be able to be hung on the cross for us. Okay. He withdrew regularly. He did it very consistently. And at the moments when the demand on him was the highest, that's exactly when he went to the mountain to pray. Not when things were quiet, not when everybody was happy, not when when life got easier. It was when everything and everyone needed him, he withdrew anyway. Not once have I seen in that Bible where he apologized for this. He didn't apologize. He didn't explain himself. He did not wait until every need in the crowd was met before he took the time his own soul required. He withdrew because he understood something that most helpers never learn. You cannot serve from empty. The quality of what you give is directly related to the fullness from which you give it, and the fullness has to be replenished consistently before the demand arrives. He also said something that sounds like a love instruction and is actually a sustainability instruction. Love your neighbor as yourself, not instead of yourself, as yourself. The standard of care for your neighbor is the care you extend for yourself, which means if you are not caring for yourself, if you are running the self into the ground in the name of loving, in the name of other people, in the name of faithfulness, you are not actually meeting the standard. You are giving people a lesser version of the love they were supposed to receive because you haven't taken care of the source. Audit your morning this week. Before anything else, before you touch your phone, before the messages, before anyone else's needs arrive, what are you doing with the first hour? If the first hour is going to other people's requests, that is the problem, and that is where the fix starts. I'm saying 1 hour every morning, make it yours. For the work, the prayer, the building, the calling, it's non-negotiable. And it's not after everyone is handled, it has to be first. Then identify the one commitment you are carrying right now that should be a no. I'm not saying all of them. You know, there's a lot. Let's not overwhelm ourselves here. The one, make the task simple. The thing that you said yes to that is costing you more than it is giving you, that you would not agree to today if you were asked fresh. I want you to identify it and then do the little thing you've not been doing. Have the damn conversation that changes the commitment. It is going to be uncomfortable. The discomfort is temporary. Okay? The cost of continuing is not. And build what I call the pause practice. We like the pause. Before every single yes, I just want you to give it 30 seconds for your brain to do its work. Not to overthink it, just check the source. Ask yourself honestly, do I have this to give right now, or am I going to be drawing from empty? That pause is the neuroplasticity work. You don't have to be a brain scientist for that understanding. The pathway that fires automatically toward yes gets interrupted long enough for a real decision to be made. So you're not in autopilot. 30 seconds. Every request, every time, until the pause becomes the default and the automatic yes is a considered one. Right now, there's something in your life that is not getting what it needs. Whether it's the work or the calling or the podcast or the message, the version of that life was supposed to be built with the energy you've been giving to everyone else's emergencies. It has been waiting patiently while you took care of everything and everyone around you. It's been showing up in the quiet moments, the specific ache of someone who knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing and is consistently doing everything else instead. It's been patient. Here's the truth I need you to really ponder. Ponder. That's such a weird word. Ponder. Think about. Ruminate on. The people who needed your specific work. what is it? The book, the podcast, the message, the voice that only your story and mess and your specific combination of wounds and wisdom can produce. They're not getting it. Not because it does not exist. It's because you keep giving it the energy it requires to everyone else's something. You're giving it all away to someone else. You can't be the most generous version of yourself from empty. You cannot build the thing that was made to last from borrowed time and borrowed energy in the margins of a life that everyone else has already claimed. They own your ass. Disconnect. The thing that requires the best version of you and the best of you requires a you that has been resourced. Fill your cup. I work with people who have been given everything to everyone. I get to have these conversations when they finally decide to give something to the calling. Who decide that the podcast, the one that carries their message, their story, their specific voice to the specific to the specific people that need it, it was worth protecting the mornings for. Worth the uncomfortable no that freed up the space. Worth the recalibration that felt selfish until the building started and the right people started finding it, and the connection that only comes from the full cup showed up in the work. That is available to you, not after everyone else is handled, but right fucking now. The calling does not require you to be selfish. It requires you to be resourced. There is a difference, and the difference is the actual thing. You guys check the show notes. Come work with me. Tell your story. I literally am going to start double dog daring people to come on my show and tell me what the calling's been waiting for. Make your mess your message. Come tell me what makes you special. But for now, fill the cup and build the thing.